And so, as with the practitioners, we put forth names to be chosen by the divine who will answer the call from this class. And I just want to share that the divine was a lovely 6-year-old, gorgeous little child that I met on the street and asked her to pick names out of a hat, and she was a little shocked, but she did it. And I'm happy to say that James Peake was picked. James Peake is from Scottsdale, though he attends New Vision Center for Spiritual Living in Phoenix, and wanted me to make sure that I was clear about that. What to say about James Peake? James Peake is a towering pillar of presence and of love. He has stepped forth in leadership and was basically a minister before any of us could see that he was. But all that he does and all that he's done in this program has brought forth and put all the different pieces together that were always there to shine forth this light of power and of presence and most of all of heart. And so anyone who is in his vicinity and his space will feel that love and his dedication to simply being that presence and creating that space for those from birth to wherever, all ages, from sitting with my 2.5-year-old to any class that he has taught. He is a visionary and he is a creative soul already. I believe he has a regular Wednesday night rock and roll science of mind service that is well attended. And whatever he does in ministry, he's one to watch, as are all of these graduates. But the divine has chosen him to answer the call today, so I'd like to call forth James Peake. Do you want this? Yeah. Okay. It's not on.
Well, practitioners, you had a wonderful journey. Us, not so much. What's that? Don't scare them? Well, I'll unscare them, I promise. So I really did have a great 20-minute life divine talk ready to go. And Catherine said I get 5. And the big clock on the wall is going to help me out with this. So I tend to be a visual person, and I'm going to speak just a bit quick because I got 5 minutes to do a 10-minute talk now. But when Catherine sent me the email that told me that a 6-year-old had picked my name out of the hat, first of all, I figured the fix must have been in, because those that know me know where my heart is, and that's with youth and family for starters. But then I'm visual, and this image suddenly popped in my head, and it's a scene from Walk the Line, which is the Johnny Cash movie about his life and times. And this particular scene is where Johnny and his band are first auditioning for the first time. He happens to walk down the street and see this record studio. And so Johnny and his band are auditioning, and they're playing pretty well. And they're playing some gospel tunes, which is what they tend to play. And his 2 other guys are a couple guys from the hardware store, and that's his band. And so they get about a minute into their audition, and the record producer says, stop. You got anything else? Johnny says, what, you don't like it? And he says, I don't believe you. He says, we're not any good? He says, you're good, you're fine. He says, but there's another 100 bands that play that way. He says, I can sign easy-going gospel-singing bands any day of the week. He said, you got anything different? And the 2 other guys that didn't know that Johnny had been writing while he was in the Navy said, no, that's all we got. Johnny mumbled out, well, I did a little writing in the Navy. I got a little something else. You got anything against the Navy? The guy said, no, I got nothing against the Navy. And Johnny said, well, I'm kind of unsure, what song to sing. So the record producer looks at him, and he says, let me help you out. He said, you were just in a bad truck accident. You got enough time to sing one song before your body is dust. One song to let God know how you felt about your time on earth. That's the song I want to hear. That's the person I want to meet. So Johnny sang Folsom Prison Blues, and as they say, the rest is history. So for me, and I believe for my fellow graduates, that's what the call to ministry comes down to. Years ago, we were willing to step into Holmes Institute to stop singing the same song that everybody sings. Willing to allow people, such as these wonderful ministers, Dr. Kathy, Reverend Alice, and Reverend Catherine, to see who we are, to hear that one song that we have to sing. And our willingness now to continue to sing that song will define our ministry and will define what this really means for us. And it's not really just a call to us, though. I see this as a call to all of us in this room. For there is a song within each of us, even those of us that may have been a minister for 5, 10, 15, 20 years, there's still a song in there that can be sung. There's something to be brought forth. God doesn't take a time out. Dr. Ernest Holmes talks about that urge. It's always urging us. There's an evolution that's always taking place. There's always something to be brought forward. Now, for us, I believe part of our call is to create that space for others who may be in a time of trouble or challenge and not be able to know that they even have a song inside to sing. But for those of us in this room, I would imagine we know enough to know that there is a song to be sung. There is something else we can do. What is our next step? So let's find that and let's do that. So for us, that next step is simply to say yes. Yes to love, yes to grace, yes to God. Yes to being that presence in the world that will stand in the midst of the storm and remind everybody that there is a higher idea, there's a higher vision, there is an answer to anything, including my home state where we have a little bit of an immigration thing going on. There's an answer there. They don't see it, but I know there's an answer there. For with God, there's always an answer. And that's just the truth. There's a song to be sung when we are with God. And since God is all of us, there is always a song to be sung. So yes to love, yes to grace, yes to the call to ministry, yes to the life divine. Namaste.